I never believed fear could make time stop until that moment. His voice cracked through the cold morning air like a blade. "Mom, don't start that car. Your daughter-in-law, she paid me to cut the brake line." My hand hovered over the ignition. I felt the weight of the key, the weight of his words, the weight of everything I had tried to ignore for months. And in that frozen second, I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I only exhaled, slow and steady. Of course she did. I stepped out of the car, thanked him, and called the mechanic I had already placed on standby. Then I continued toward the meeting on foot, letting every step burn this moment into my bones. By the time I reached the law office in downtown Seattle, sweat had cooled on my back, but my resolve burned hotter than ever. She was inside, smirking, waiting to collect what she thought was hers. And when she saw me, alive, standing, her face drained so fast she fainted before her name was even called. But that was only the payoff. The real story began long before that. I met her 6 years ago when my husband brought her home for the first time, his son's new wife. A bright smile, a soft voice, perfect manners. "Mom," he'd said, "she's wonderful. You'll love her." And I tried. God, I tried. She called me a mother, brought me handmade gifts, and told me I was her role model. I believed her. I let her close. I let her help with paperwork, family events, even private matters. She said she wanted to take care of me the way family should. Now I see she meant take over. It began subtly. Misplaced documents, bank notifications I never signed up for. My husband's declining health twisted into excuses she fed him for keeping me out of his stressful details. When he died, she cried louder than anyone, but her eyes stayed dry. I noticed everything. The late-night phone calls she made in hushed tones, the sudden interest in my husband's old business files, the way she flinched every time I mentioned the inheritance review. But I am not a woman who confronts without evidence. I have lived too long and lost too much to act on emotion, so I observed quietly, patiently. The decisive moment came when she forgot to log out of my tablet, which she had begun using it to help me. A message thread lit the screen like a confession. She was texting a man I didn't know. "She still thinks I'm helping. Idiot woman. Once the inheritance transfers, I'll push her into assisted care, the kind where no one asks questions." Another message. "Don't worry. The old man signed the papers before he died. She's too soft to fight." Soft. That word snapped something inside me. The last message was from 2 nights earlier. If she's gone before the meeting, everything falls to us. I have a guy who can handle the car. That's when the fear melted into something sharper, not rage, not despair, but precision. I duplicated the messages, forwarded them to my attorney in Portland, to the private investigator who once worked for my husband, and to the bank officer who had trusted me for 20 years. I didn't confront her. I didn't warn her. I let her believe she was winning. I let her imagine me weak, because a trap only works when the prey is comfortable enough to step into it. I scheduled the inheritance meeting myself. Then I hired a private security detail to follow her quietly. I even left the car in the driveway on Maple Street, keys where they always were. I wanted to see how far she'd go. She did not disappoint. At dawn, they sent me the photo. The man she paid crouching near my car. I didn't stop him. I didn't intervene. I needed him caught after the sabotage, not before. Intent is hard to prove. Completion is easy. When the officers detained him, he spilled everything the moment they mentioned the charges. He thought I'd died before the police arrived. He panicked, confessed. "Your daughter-in-law told me you'd be alone. She said you wouldn't notice." I almost laughed. And that brings me back to the moment she fainted. Imagine her surprise when she expected my obituary and saw me walking into the conference room in downtown Seattle, calm, alive, and holding a folder thick with our own messages. The lawyers turned to her. The investigator entered behind me. Her phone buzzed with alerts, bank accounts frozen, her house on Pinecrest Drive under search order, her partner detained. She collapsed before the first document was read aloud. I didn't touch her. I didn't speak to her. Justice doesn't need theatrics. They escorted her out in handcuffs an hour later. She couldn't look at me. I didn't need her to. I already had everything. My freedom, my name cleared, my husband's legacy protected. And as I walked back outside, past the cordoned-off car and the officers thanking me for my patience, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief, clean and cold. People think revenge is fire, but they're wrong. Real revenge is ice, quiet, sharp, and precise. And that day, I carved my justice into the world, one calculated step at a time.